The Conqueror's legacy. The Velkar Dominion had a reputation that resonated throughout the galaxy, an empire that crushed any who dared to stand in its way. Their conquest began centuries ago, sweeping across star systems, toppling empires and extinguishing civilizations. No force, no species, no matter how technologically advanced, had ever been able to resist the Velkar's overwhelming might. From the moment their warships appeared in orbit, entire planets fell under their rule. There was no mercy, no negotiation, only subjugation. Lord Karak, the Velkar Dominion's most renowned military leader, had earned his title through decades of brutal conquest. His fleet was massive, carrying hundreds of warships armed with weapons that could turn entire cities to ash with a single blast. Karak's reputation for efficiency and ruthless tactics made him the most feared commander in the galaxy. His warships, built from materials stronger than any known to humanity, were nearly indestructible. When the Velkar turned their attention to Earth, they saw a primitive, isolated world, a perfect target for their next conquest. The human race had barely advanced beyond the reach of their own atmosphere, their technology primitive and undeveloped compared to the Velkar's. Yet, as Karak gazed down at the small blue planet through the viewport of his flagship, he felt an unfamiliar twinge of curiosity. How could a species so fragile stand in the way of their all-encompassing power? The first encounter. The invasion began without warning. The Velkar fleet descended from the stars, blocking out the sun with their gargantuan ships. Earth's military scrambled to respond, but their radar systems were useless against the advanced stealth technology of the Velkar ships. No one had expected this. Nations, still recovering from internal conflicts and strained alliances, were utterly unprepared for an alien invasion. In the chaos, General Sarah Mitchell stood firm. A veteran of countless battles, she had risen to prominence due to her ability to think on her feet and inspire those around her. Despite Earth's lack of advanced weaponry, she knew that humanity's greatest strength lay in its resolve. She had seen firsthand how humans, when pushed to their limits, could overcome insurmountable odds. It was this belief that fueled her, conviction to defend Earth at any cost. With the alien ships hovering ominously above, Earth's military quickly shifted to its most desperate and unorthodox defense. General Mitchell and her team launched an experimental weapon designed to disrupt the Velkar's advanced technology, an electromagnetic pulse, EMP weapon that could disable their fleet's systems for a short period of time. The weapon's success was critical. Without it, Earth stood no chance. When the pulse struck, the unthinkable happened. The Velkar ships froze in space, their systems shut down in an instant. Lord Karak, standing on the bridge of his flagship, gritted his teeth in disbelief as his fleet came to a halt. "What is this?" he muttered, as panic spread through the Velkar ranks. For the first time in centuries, the conquerors were vulnerable. The battle begins. The EMP strike bought Earth's forces some time, but it wasn't enough to win the war. As the Velkar soldiers descended to the surface, Lord Karak was confident that his troops, superior in strength and technology, would crush any human resistance within hours. They had conquered entire civilizations in a matter of days, and Earth was no different. But Earth had one thing the Velkar didn't anticipate: ingenuity. As the Velkar landed in strategic locations around the planet, they were met with resistance from every corner of the world. Human soldiers, though lacking the advanced armor and weapons of their enemies, fought with a tenacity born of desperation. Guerrilla warfare tactics were employed as civilians, soldiers, and everyday citizens alike took to the streets, armed with whatever they could find. In the heart of New York City, a battle raged between the Velkar invaders and a ragtag group of resistance fighters. The Velkar soldiers, though physically imposing and technologically superior, struggled to adapt to the planet's terrain. They were used to fighting in sterile, military-controlled environments, not in the sprawling urban jungles of Earth's cities. They had no answer for human ingenuity. Improvised explosives, homemade traps, and well-coordinated ambushes forced the Velkar to retreat on several occasions. For the first time, the invaders began to doubt their inevitable victory. The edge of defeat, despite the initial success, Earth's forces soon found themselves on the defensive. The Velkar adapted quickly, bringing in more advanced weaponry and reinforcements. Their energy shields recharged faster, their weapons became deadlier, and their tactics grew more refined. As the war stretched on, Earth's forces were pushed back to smaller pockets of resistance, surrounded on all sides. Humanity, though resilient, was on the brink of collapse. Major cities fell one by one, and Earth's military forces were stretched thin. General Mitchell, watching as the last remnants of Earth's defense crumbled, knew that the planet was at the breaking point. She had never been one to give up, but even she feared the inevitable. The Velkar were a juggernaut, unstoppable, unrelenting. But as the tide of war seemed to turn in favor of the invaders, an unexpected breakthrough occurred. A small band of soldiers from across the globe, including former enemies and survivors from destroyed cities, banded together to form a resistance unlike anything the Velkar had seen before. They had one goal: to protect their homes, their families, and their way of life. This newfound unity, born of desperation, gave humanity a strength no alien force could match. The Velkar, having underestimated the human spirit, found themselves besieged by pockets of resistance that seemed to appear out of nowhere. Each ambush, each guerrilla strike, took its toll on the invaders. The Velkar began to question their strategy, their arrogance becoming their greatest weakness. The turning point, as the Velkar's hold on Earth began to waver, Lord Carrick realized that he could not afford to let the situation escalate further. He ordered a full-scale assault on Earth's capital, hoping to end the war in a single decisive blow. However, what Carrick did not know was that humanity was preparing its ultimate weapon, one that would level the playing field once and for all. General Mitchell, having foreseen the Velkar's next move, initiated a plan to deploy Earth's last hope, a massive EMP generator that would disrupt the entire Velkar fleet, rendering them completely vulnerable. The weapon was positioned in Earth's capital, and as Carrick's forces descended, it activated with a deafening pulse. The entire Velkar fleet, ground forces, warships, and technology, was rendered inert. For the first time since the invasion began, the Velkar were powerless. Their ships hovered helplessly in the sky, their weapons deactivated, their soldiers stranded on a hostile planet without their advanced technology. Humanity, seizing this rare moment of vulnerability, launched a coordinated counteroffensive. The tide of the war shifted once again, this time in favor of Earth. The reckoning as the last of the Velkar forces retreated. Lord Carrick stood on the ruined streets of Earth's capital, gazing out at the devastation. His empire, once unstoppable, had been defeated by a species he had thought inferior. The human spirit, it seemed, was more powerful than any weapon the Velkar could wield. The Velkar were broken, their fleet scattered, their forces in disarray. The survivors limped away from Earth, their arrogance shattered. General Mitchell, standing on the steps of the United Nations building, watched as the last of the Velkar ships vanished into the atmosphere. The battle was over. Earth had won. But the victory was bittersweet. The cost had been great. Entire cities reduced to rubble, millions of lives lost. But Earth had proven one undeniable truth. Humanity was not just a species to be conquered. They were a force to be reckoned with. As Earth's leaders gathered to rebuild, the message was clear. No longer would the Velkar, or any other empire, look upon Earth as an easy conquest. Humanity had shown that it could not be broken. They had fought back, and they had won. And the galaxy would never forget the day they met Earth and the day they learned that humanity was no longer just another world to conquer.